Three new girls. Darrell said goodbye to her parents and they pulled off in the car. Darrell was always glad that her father and mother were sensible when they said goodbye. They didn't burst into tears as Gwendolyn's mother always did. They didn't expect her to stay close beside them and look mournful. They laughed and talked just as usual, promised to come down at half term, then kissed her goodbye and went, waving cheerfully. Soon, she and Sally were carrying the night cases up the stairs into the big hall. They had their locust sticks too, which got entangled with people's legs as the other girls searched around and about. Miss Potts was in the hall. She had been their former mistress when they had been in the first form, and was still their house mistress, for she was in charge of North Tower, in which they slept. All the girls' bedrooms or dormitories were in the four towers, and there was a house mistress in charge of each one, and also a matron. Miss Potts saw Shally and Darrell and called them. Shally, Darrell, take charge of this new girl for me, will you? She will be in the second form with you, and will be in your dormy. Take her up to matron. Darrell saw a tall, thin girl standing by Miss Potts, looking nervous and scared. Darrell remembered how lost she had felt when she had first come to Malory Towers, and she felt sorry for the girl. She went up to her, Sally behind her. Hello, come along with us and we'll look after you. What's your name? Ellen Wilson, said the girl. She had a very pale face and looked tired out. In the middle of her forehead was a deep line, cutting down between her eyebrows, making her look as if she was continuously frowning. Darrell didn't much like the look of her, but she smiled at Ellen kindly. I expect you feel pretty muddled with all this row going on, she said. I felt the same last year when I came. My name's Darrell Rivers, and this is my friend Shally Hope. The girl gave polite little smiles and then followed silently behind them. They all made their way through the excited throng of girls. There's Mary Love, said Darrell. Hello, Mary Love, you have grown. Little Mary Love smiled. I hope so, she said. I'm tired of being the smallest in the form. Who's this? Ellen Wilson, new girl, second form, said Darrell. In our dormy, added Sally. We are taking her to matron. Hello, here's Irene. Irene, we saw you nearly knock off your father's glasses in the car when you waved to us. Irene grinned. Yes, that was the third time I've done it. He was just getting annoyed with me. Are you going to matron? I'll come along too. Got your health certificate? Asked Sally, slyly. It was a standing joke with the girls that Irene always arrived without it, no matter how safely her mother had packed it in a nightcase or given it in an envelope to Irene to put in a pocket. Got yours? Said Darrell to Ellen Wilson. We have to hand them over at once, and woe betide you if you go down with measles or chicken pox or something. If you have just handed in a certificate saying that you haven't been near anyone ill, golly, Irene, you don't really mean to say you haven't got yours again? Irene was feeling ill in all her pockets, with a humorous look of dismay on her face. Can't find it at the moment, she said. Must be in my nightcase. But no, mother said she wasn't going to put it there anymore because it always disappeared. Blow. Matron said she'll isolate you next time you came without a health certificate, said Sally. You'll have to be in the sand for 2 days till your mother sends another one. You really are an idiot, Irene. Feeling frantically in all her pockets, Irene followed Sally, Darrell, and Ellen to North Tower and went in with them. The second form dormy was not far from the first form dormy, where Darrell had slept for the last 4 terms. It was on the second floor and was a lovely big room with 10 white beds in it, each covered with a pretty quilt. The girls dumped their night cases down in the dormy and went to look for matron. Ah, there she was, shepherding another new girl up to the dormy. Darrell looked at this girl. She was about the same age as Darrell and like Darrell had black curly hair, but cut much shorter, more like a boy. She looked rather dirty and untidy, but she had an attractive grin and her eyes twinkled as she looked at the other girls. She did not look nearly so lost or forlorn as Helen. Ah, Sally, Darrell, here's another new girl, said Matron briskly. Take charge of her, will you? Her name is Belinda Morris. Now, have you all got your night cases and what about your health certificates? Our night cases are there, said Darrell, pointing to where they have dumped them on the floor. And here's my health certificate, Matron. Where's my night case? Said Belinda suddenly. Surely you had it with you a minute ago, said Matron, looking all around. Well, give me your certificate and then go and look for your case. But it's in the case, said Belinda, and looked vaguely round. You probably left it down in the hall for everyone to fall over, said Matron. You girls, thank you. Darrell, is this your certificate, Sally? And yours, Mary Love? And yours, Ellen? What about yours, Irene? It's a most peculiar thing, Matron, began Irene, hunting in all her pockets again. You know, I had it when I started off this morning. I remember Mother saying. Matron stared at Irene, really exasperated. Irene, don't dare to tell me you have not brought it again. You know what I told you last term? There is a rule here that girls who forget their health certificates shall be isolated until one is produced. I've never had to enforce that rule yet, but in your case, I really think. Oh, Matron, don't isolate me, begged Irene, taking her nightcase, opening it and emptying all the contents fidgetly on the floor. I'll find it, I will. The girl stood by laughing. Really, Irene was very funny when she had lost something. Matron looked on grimly. Irene bent low over the case, hunting hard, and suddenly she gave a cry and put her hand to her chest. Oh, something's pricking me. Whatever can it be? Gracious. Something's run a sharp point right into me. She stood up, rubbing her chest. Then she opened the front of her coat, and the girls gave a scream of laughter. Irene, you donkey, you've got your health certificate pinned onto your front. You couldn't lose it if you wanted to. Irene looked down, pleased. Of course, she said, unpinning it. I remember now. I knew I should lose it unless I really did hang on to it to somehow. So I pinned it tightly to my front. Here it is, Matron. You won't have to isolate me after all. Matron took it and put it with the others she had. A narrow squeak for you, Irene, she said, and her plump face broke into a smile. You put a grey hair into my head at the beginning of every term. Now, you girls, unpack your night cases and put out your things. The trunks won't be unpacked till tomorrow, and then each of you will have to check the clothes list you have brought with you. She departed, rustling in her apron, looking out for more returning girls, collecting lists and names and certificates, bringing order out of confusion, and welcoming back all the 60 or so girls returning to North Tower. In other towers, 3 more matrons were doing the same thing. It was a real task to welcome back about 250 girls with their trunks, night cases, and odds and ends. Belinda had wandered off to look for a night case, while the others were still putting out their things. She sauntered back, a brown suitcase in her hand. She opened it and shook out a pair of pajamas. She stared at them in surprise. Golly, I didn't know I had pajamas like this, she said. And what posh bedroom slippers Mother has put in for me for a surprise, I suppose. Darrell looked over her shoulder, then she grinned. You'll get into trouble if you unpack any more of those things, she said. They belong to Georgia Thomas. She'll be jolly wild if she finds out our you have got her nightcase. She's probably hunting all over the place for it now. Can't you read, Belinda? Darrell pointed to the name marked on the collar of the pajamas, Georgina Thomas. Goodness, what an ass I am, said Belinda, and stuffed all the things back untidily into the case. I thought it was my case. She went out of the room again, presumably to hunt once more for her lost case. Darrell grinned at Irene. I don't know what we are going to do if we have 2 people like you, Irene, she said. One's bad enough, but 2 you'll drive Mamselle cracked between you. And as for Miss Parker, our former mistress, well, you know what she is? She can't stand anything vague or careless. We shall have some fun this term with you and Belinda in the class together. Irene didn't in the least mind being teased. She was a clever, good-humored girl, brilliant at music, but very thoughtless and vague over the ordinary little everyday things. If anyone lost a grammar book, it was Irene. If anyone forgot to turn up at a special class, it was Irene. And now here was another girl, Belinda, who seemed to be just as bad. Irene very much liked the look of her and had already made up her mind to be friends. Belinda soon came back, this time fortunately with her own cage. She tipped everything out and then proceeded to put her things in place, just as the others did. Pyjamas under the pillow, toothbrush, face funnel, toothpaste and sponge on a glass ledge on one end of the dormy where the wash basins were, brush and comb in their bag inside the top drawer of the dressing table, then the empty nightcase was put with a pile outside in the corridor waiting to be taken to the box room. There came a great clatter up the stairs, and the girls in the dormy raised their heads. The train girls, they have come at last. Aren't they late? More girls clattered into the dormy. Alicia Jones came in, her eyes bright. Behind her came Jean, the straightforward, sensible Scots girl. Then came Emily, a quiet girl whose only real interest was sewing and most elaborate embroidery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us, said Darrell, counting. Two more to come. Who are they? Gwendoline Mary, for one, I suppose, said Irene with a grimace. Dear Gwendoline Mary, I expect her mother is still sobbing over letting her darling lamb go away from her. Who's the tenth? Here comes Gwendoline, said Darrell, and the girls heard the familiar, rather whining voice. Gwendoline was a spoiled only child, and although Malory Towers had done her a lot of good, the holidays always seemed to make her worse again. She came in, and with her was the tenth girl. Gwendoline Mary introduced her. Hello, everyone. This is Stephanie Millicent Turner, a new girl. She is in our form and in our dormy. She traveled down in my carriage, and I'm sure she's going to be a favorite with all of us in no time. The end.